Welcome, dear listeners, to the WIP Show, brought to you by Kimaya Creatives, where we dive deep into the world of writing and creativity. I am Namrata, your host and the founder of Kimaya Creatives. WIP, you might ask. Well, it stands for Writing in Progress, and that's exactly what we are all about here. Each week, we bring you inspiring conversations with talented writers delving into their journeys, their challenges, and the stories behind their stories. From seasoned authors to aspiring wordsmiths, we explore the nooks and crannies of the writing process. Whether it's overcoming writer's block, finding inspiration in the unlikeliest of places, or simply navigating the wild, wonderful world of words, we are here for it all. So grab your favorite writing mug, settle into your coziest writing nook, and join us as we celebrate the beauty and the chaos of the writing life. Our guest today is the amazing Harshita Nanda. Harshita is an author, blogger, and a book reviewer based in Dubai. An engineer by qualification, she changed tracks to become a full time writer. Her stories have a strong emotional quotient with a streak of feminism. Avoiding unnecessary drama, she focuses on the universal appeal of human emotions. She published her first book, Xanadu, Three Souls Searching for Paradise, in 2021, followed by Bits and Pieces, a collage of my BITSian memories in 2022 and a potpourri of Drabble, a collection of 100 micro tales in 2023. Love Awaits, A Tale of Unbroken Promises is her latest book. One of the shortlisted candidates for the Rama Mehta Writing Grant 2023, her short stories have found a home in many anthologies, such as the Block Charter Book of Thrillers, the Block Charter Book of Love, and Lightning Strikes, an anthology of flash fiction by Indian writers. Her words have appeared on websites like Kitab, Porchlit Magazine, and Rofin Literary Press. Welcome, Harshita, to the podcast, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Namrata. Thank you so much of thinking of me. I never thought I would come on your show, actually.
Oh, please. It's an absolute joy. Like I was just telling you before we started recording, you've been on the list for a while. It's just that the schedule has been chaos, and I actually had a lot of names and I kept going back and forth. So I'm so glad we are finally doing this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here.
So, starting with the first question, Love Awaits has a very interesting premise. What inspired to write this story? Did the idea come to you suddenly, or was it something that brewed over time?
So actually, Love Awaits started as a micro tale. It was a 100-word story. It was on the prompt over a cup of espresso. So this was back in the day when Mom's Espresso was alive and kicking. So they gave a prompt over a cup of espresso. I wrote that story. Instinctively, it came to me. I don't know why. It's about two people meeting in a cafe, not talking, and then going their separate
Right.
ways. And in fact, I then put it in my 2023 book, Potpourri of Drabble also. So it's one of my favorite. But when I published that and I shared it on social media, I have a friend called Pratibha, and she reached out and she's like, I want to know more. Why are they waiting? What is happening? I want to know more. So until that point, it was just like I've written a story and finished it off. Then somewhere around February 2023, I was like, okay, let me try and make it into a short story. I was, I think, trying to write for a magazine or something. And like, let me try and make it into a short story. But when I started writing it down, I realized this is not a short story. I need to know, I myself now need to know more. Who is this person? Why is the person waiting? What happens to the person? And so that's why it's like, as you know, I write by hand. So all my drafts are written by hand. So I started writing it in one notebook. I'll finish it in 5-10 pages because that was the number of pages left. And then I had to move over to a completely new notebook because I had run out, because it just kept going on and on. And I'm so glad, I think it's very close to my heart. I've worked very hard on it. I think really worked hard on it. So I'm very happy, because that friend gave me that nudge. This story needs more. So, from
We
100
all
words, I've
need
gone to
friends like
20,000 words.
Pratibha.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yes.
nudge is very important for us writers because sometimes such conversations are actually what lead to some of the most beautiful and unexpected stories or twists and turns.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm truly grateful to her for the nudge.
That's amazing. So If Love Awaits were to be made into a film, who would you cast as Meera, Manan, and Raghunath?
So I have to admit, when I read this question, I was like, this is one of the most amazing questions I've ever been asked anytime in
No,
the
because
past 4 years.
everything about the book speaks that it has to be on the screen. I'll be very honest. Be it the cover,
Thank
be
you
it the
so much.
blur, be it the premise. It's a very fun, light kind of a feel that you actually want to, like those YouTube short films which are there for 2, 3 minutes, but they make
Yeah.
you feel so good when you just watch them. This actually has that feel.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I thought about it long and hard, and I'm like,
Okay.
okay, even though Meera doesn't have curly hair, but I think I would go with Sania Malhotra for this,
Wow.
for Meera, because I think she encapsulates Meera perfectly. She's inquisitive, she wants to know the stories behind. Avinash Tiwari for Manan,
Ah,
because Manan is
okay.
not an alpha male. He's not an alpha male, but he's sensitive. He can be a bit snarky, but I think, and I just saw Laila Majnu, and I think he looked very good in that. So I think
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Avinash
Absolutely.
Tiwari. Raghunath was the most difficult one because I don't know who can fit Raghunath. I think it might be Dalip Tahil
Mm-hmm.
because he has, or in fact, even yeah, that Bedi fellow. I've forgotten
Kabir
the
Bedi.
name. Kabir Bedi,
Yeah.
because there's somebody who have the gravitas, जिनमें ठहराव हो, people like that. So you need somebody like that for Raghunath. I at one point I even thought of Varun Badola. I'm like, no, no, Varun Badola won't work. But I think Dalip Tahil would because he's refined. He's very refined.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think Dalip Tahil would might work, and he was pretty handsome back in the day.
Oh, of course. I love the guy. I love Avinash Tiwari. I love his work. I've loved all the
Yeah,
series that he has done. He's just
yeah.
amazing. And same goes for Sania Malhotra. I think you've got a stellar star cast there. Somebody please pick this up.
I know. Please, please make it reach their ears.
Yeah. So what's the
Yeah.
one message you hope readers take away from this book?
I think one message is that love doesn't need to be very flashy. It can be quiet and it can still, it's like what they say, still waters run deep. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. So it doesn't need to be flashy. You don't need, you don't need to have proposals on Burj Khalifa. You don't need to go on helicopter rides. Love, true love is very quiet. And I think that is the message I want to send from this book.
That's so powerfully put, actually, especially in this time of social media where everything and anything has to, be
Yes.
shown to the world and it has to be grand. So this actually makes a lot of impact. I love this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you had to describe this book in 3 words,
Okay, this is another tough question because when you're writing for the book, when you're writing a book, you're not thinking ki, what is the message you're giving. You're just writing, getting a story out. So now, you've retrospectively made me think with all these questions. But 3 words would be, of course, love. It would be patience, and it would be the third word. I think it would be tenderness.
wow,
Because I think somewhere or the other we forget about tenderness,
yeah,
you know.
very true.
So I think these are the 3 words I think I would use to describe this book.
Oh, lovely. Coming to your writing journey, Harshita, you went from engineering to writing. How did that transition happen? Like, did you always know you wanted to be an author?
Okay, no, I never had writing on the cards. I never ever, So when you're growing up in middle class India, you are a good student. You're supposed to get into a professional field. And even though opportunities had started opening up by the time I entered college, it was still, pretty black or white. You either went to engineering or you went to medical. I couldn't get through my medical entrances, so I went to engineering. It is like kind of that. So I think everything what has happened in my life is by chance. So it is by chance I reached an engineering college. It is by chance I worked a little bit. It is by chance I reached Dubai. And but point is, once I reached Dubai, I wanted to take a break. It's just that the break got extended for a very long time. So it was about 17, 18 years. And by that
Yeah.
time, I had children and But I was always a reader. And once in a while, some lines would come here and there. I would scribble it somewhere, forget it, maybe throw it also. You never know. And somewhere around 2016, I started my own blog, which was again, कि कोई तो मेरी सुनता नहीं है, let me just write a blog. Uh, and it was a very hit and miss kind of a blog. I'm still running that blog. I'm much more professional about it now. But initially, when I started, I would like write one post, forget about it for 6 months, then write another post. And it was basically just to pass my time. I wanted to talk about books. I started talking about books. It's only in COVID when, everybody was stuck at home and I couldn't travel. Then, I stumbled upon Block Chatter. So I was following Andalib on Twitter and I stumbled upon Block Chatter because she did this thing on KDP. She and Aarti Raman did a post on KDP. I stumbled upon HWR. So, I kept stumbling on things. And once I stumbled on Block Chatter, they kind of gave me a direction. Ki, theek hai, you just write. Doesn't it doesn't need to be very high-fi or anything. You just write. And that just got me into the discipline of writing. And they have their campaign called A to Z.
Mm.
Like April is A to Z month where everybody
Yeah.
is writing. So they have their own block chatter A to Z, which is when I registered for it, I was thinking whether I should register for it. Will I be able to write? And my husband's like, Bada socho. So I'm like, okay, let me think Bada. And that Bada became Xanadu because Xanadu first came as a post in A to Z. And then they used to have those block chatter ebook carnival where you could just
Yeah.
publish your thing for the block chatter community. And then it was very well appreciated. So it was like, okay, let us publish it formally. So we went ahead, published it formally. And then, as you say, शेर के मुंह में खून लगता है. So it is like now I enjoy writing now, and it's only after that I got the confidence of saying that I'm a writer,
Mm.
and started treating it as a job because you have to treat it as a job, otherwise you won't be able to do it. So that is why. So now I like sometimes I do feel, I get scared. What if I run out of stories? But I don't think that ever happens to us.
No.
So somewhere or the other, even after writer's block, you have, okay, now suddenly something is stuck and you'll write it down, kind of thing. So that is how my journey started. So I was not planning to become a writer. It was never on the cards. I have not even studied English literature like people do, advanced English in 11, 12. I've not even done that. I was a good student. I'm not denying that. And I was always a reader. So I think that really has helped me, and Block Chatter has helped me. Momspresso has helped me. People like you have helped me, because I sometimes I'm so moved by the kindness of the people in the writing community. Because even if I'm doing something wrong, they might not point it out, but they'll come and tell me, "See, this
Yeah.
is what is going wrong," and that really helps you grow as a writer. So I think that is how the journey has been, and hopefully it
That's
will
very
continue.
inspiring to hear, because you've had a very conventional path, if you ask. We Indians are very
Yes,
obsessed with that engineer, with that medical degree, and it's like a very conventional thing. You've been ticking every box there. That okay, engineering done, this done, that done, went to Dubai done, and
I know.
then moving to being an author, which is something that they feel that this is not a stable career or something that they would not advise
Right.
somebody.
Exactly, exactly. So, sometimes people think that maybe, if you could have gone back, done something differently. And I'm like, no, because these are the experiences that have made me who I am now, that have made me the writer who I am now. So, I don't want to change anything. Yes, it's been a very meandering path. I think in bits and pieces I've written also, the Z is zigzag pathways because it has been all over the place. But I think that is what is fun about life. Now you can change your path whenever you know it. You have changed your
Yeah, of course. I was
path.
going to tell you that this all sounds so similar because at that time we had something called Blog Adda, an indie blogger,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
was very similar to what Blog Chatter does right now.
right,
And
right,
this was exactly how I started, like, blogging, getting into it very actively, participating, learning new genres, trying to see what somebody else has done, and then just discovering things. And that's how the
right.
first few years were. So, yes, I completely relate to what you're saying.
And it's very exciting even now. I love A to Z because you read so many new things,
Yeah.
you discover so many new writers, you learn so much. So I think it's still one of my favorite campaigns of Block Chatter. I'm not advertising Block Chatter. I'm just saying that yes, they've played a
No, no,
pretty
absolutely.
important,
Such
yeah,
communities are very important. Like
important.
if
Yeah,
I were to talk about my writing, I would still say that Blogger and Indie Blogger had a very big role to play. And in those days,
exactly.
authors like Preeti Shenoy were still bloggers. So, having
Right.
them come and comment on our writing or be a part of our writing and critique, it
Yes.
also impacted a lot. You get a lot of
It
feedback in
helps
that.
a lot. It really helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you've
Yeah.
just dabbling into it and you've not taken writing seriously,
Right.
having
Yes.
such published authors comment and share their experiences or even guide them. Like Preeti is still in touch with a lot of bloggers at that time. She still,
Mm.
talks to them, gives feedback on their writing, and she's been there that way. So it's
Right.
it's very interesting to see that. That is very encouraging also that way.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, that
Yeah.
is true. Yeah.
So, moving on to our next question, Harshita. Your books often focus on deep emotions and feminism. What draws you to these themes?
See, I think I've been an observer most of my life, if you see, because I was not working for many years. So I'm more of an observer. Even at a young age, there was nothing more than I would like to just go sit on the terrace and just watch the neighborhood, the birds, the flowers blooming. Literally, I would go sit and watch for hours. That bud is turning into a flower, and those 3, 4 hours are gone seeing that bud turning into a flower. That kind of thing. So I think it is that those things are still with me. So I still observe things. And because I observe things, I think I feel also more deeply, which somewhere or the other comes out in the writing, because uh, that is what I think. And feminism is, I think, needed, because if we don't use our words, then who will? We have, even if 5 people are coming and visiting my blog a day, if they're reading something which is making them think for female empowerment, for anything, it really, I think that is a power. So especially after the YouTube thing which has just happened, I think words do have power. So you
Oh,
have to be
definitely.
careful about what you're using, how you're using, what you're using. And uh, it and somehow it that is why it instinctively comes in, because see, over the years, even if I see, most of us, again, Indian middle class, of a woman growing up in Indian middle class, you have seen patriarchy at its best. Okay, so somewhere or the other, even if you've not faced it yourself, you've not faced it directly, indirectly you would have faced it. You would have seen it happening to the people around you. You might not have said anything at that time because either you were too young or you didn't have the power. But somewhere or the other, it comes back. I remember a story I had written long time back for Mom's Presso, and it wasn't a very well crafted story, but the idea of the story was female feticide. Not even female feticide. It was like, in the 80s, how you would have those kerosene fires because of dowry, or the child in the womb would be a girl. And I think something of that kind happened in our neighborhood. I don't remember it. I was too young to remember it, but somehow it just stayed in my mind. And then it came out as a story. I'm not saying I'm using that, but I just wanted to say that it happened. You cannot say that, because women are leaders right now, it didn't happen. It happened then and it's happening now also. So, somewhere or the other, I think that is why that emotions and feminism, both of them, come in, because I even now I can sit. Most of the Sundays I do that. It's wonderful weather in Dubai, and I have a lovely balcony, and I'll just sit and watch my petunias, and I'll watch, the munias coming all over the balcony, and just 5-10 minutes. So I think both of these things automatically then get transferred into the story.
I love your observation about feminism because this is something that a lot of people don't understand, that in some way or the other it has impacted us. We have witnessed it very closely. It could be first hand, it could be second hand, but we have witnessed it. It doesn't need to be that you have gone through or you've suffered, but we have seen it. And somewhere our education and our exposure today makes us question those things because we knew that that what that happened was not right. This shouldn't have happened. So, yes,
Correct.
words definitely do have the power, and that's the best thing we have today to actually put it forth, to make people aware about what can be right or what can be done, or at least make them question those things with that.
Exactly.
And I
So
love your balcony, by the way. I love the shots and the videos that you've been putting up. Seriously, you seem to have a lot of patience with the plants. They're just beautiful.
no, I have help. I have help. So I have help. He comes and he helps me out with the plants. But yes, watering them daily and all. And I
They're
do
lovely.
enjoy. See, because I've grown up in Dehradun. I'm used to having a big garden. I'm used to having lots of flowers in springtime. So, and to tell you the truth, part of the reason why we took this house was the balcony because I was
Wow.
like, I fed up. I need a balcony. I need my flowers now.
How sweet.
So yes, that closeness to nature, I think, because of growing up in Dehradun, that has happened, and that is why which I like. I want to have some open air. I want to have some greenery around me.
Wow, that's lovely. So, Harshita, you've written across different formats, which is novels, short stories, micro tales. Which format do you enjoy the most and which is the most challenging?
I'll answer the second question first. Most challenging, I think, is micro tales
Hmm.
because you have a very short word limit. So like sometimes it's even 50. So to get your point across repeatedly in a new way, in a different way, which touches the reader and satisfies you, is very difficult. I think it's very, very difficult. So, micro tales, I think, are very difficult, and I don't think I've written one recently in quite some time because I've been busy with lover weights. But yes, micro tales are the most challenging. Coming to what is which one I like more. I think it is the project that I'm working on. I like that the best. So I wouldn't be able to pick whether I like micro tales more or whether I like novels more or whether I like short stories more. I think it is whatever I'm working on. See, at the end, there, as a writer, when you finish a project or when you finish a story or when you finish a novel, there is that particular high which is very difficult to describe, you know so if I'm getting that, that means it's a job well done. So it is on whichever project I'm working on at the moment. I think sometimes even a blog post, like I've just recently finished a blog post and I'm very happy with that blog post. So it is on what I'm working on at the moment.
Wow. That's lovely, and that's how writers are actually. If you described it perfectly well. So, as we
Yeah.
all know, writing can be a very lonely process. What's your favorite way to beat writer's block?
Writer's block. I think more than writer's block, I have a problem with writing discipline.
Mm,
So even though I am a pretty disciplined writer, but there are, certain times when you don't want to do it. So that is more of a block for me, just to sit down and write. Because once you sit down at the desk with the paper, even if it's garbage, at least some words are coming out.
yeah.
So it's never, you never choked, that kind of thing. But what happens is usually when we're travel, like we travel once a year to India, we're traveling or we are going on a holiday or something, and then that gap comes. I think for me, the most difficult is to come back and sit down and start writing then. So I don't think I've ever faced a writer's block per se, because again here I follow something which Twinkle Khanna had said in some one of her interviews. I don't even remember it which one, and she had said whatever words are coming, just write. Okay, and it will be like your go down. Okay. So if you're anytime stuck or you're not looking for an inspiration for an idea, just go to that go down, reread those words or wherever you made the notes, and something or the other will anyway click and you'll be able to write more. So I do follow that. So even if it is not making sense, if I'm having a flow, if I want to write some words down, it's not making sense, I will write the words down. My main problem is coming to the desk and writing the words down. So overall, I'm pretty disciplined, but yes, and then coming back from that holiday, even if it's a week, 10 days holiday, coming back to sit and write, that it takes a bit of a mental push for me.
Yeah. True,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Very true. You've been featured in many anthologies, Harshita. So, how is writing for an anthology different from writing your own book?
Uh, Anthology, see, the easy part of the anthology is you don't have to do anything. You're just bothered with your story and you're done. Okay, with a book, it's a 40,000 book, you have to edit that 40,000 book. And that is a big ask. Again, marketing, you don't have to do anything of that in the anthology. There's a person who's, curating the anthology. It is their headache. You will market from your end, but the majority, bulk of the work will be done by the curie. For your book, you have to do it yourself. But in an anthology, because there are many diverse authors, sometimes it is like, some story it's there are certain anthologies where the level is not the same, so you might
Yeah.
think your story is very good and the other story is doesn't really go with mine, or it may be the other way around, like that story was so good and look at my story, I don't know how they picked this story, that kind of thing. So but whereas in a novel it is all your work, so that makes it. And plus of course, coming to the bottom line, the credit, half of the anthologies will not give credit to the authors. So it is good thing to have in your resume, but I wouldn't bank on it full time because you want something for which you have the full credit. I have to be mercenary about it, but yes, that's the way it is.
Yeah, in my own experience also, I feel it's a good way when you're starting out. It's a good way
Right.
to understand the publishing or to get exposure and things. But after a point, you actually want to write your own stories. You want to have a little more creative freedom and not restrict
Exactly.
yourself to themes or
Exactly.
all those things
Exactly.
like that.
See, it of course makes a difference upon who is curating the anthology
Yeah,
also. So
true.
I remember when I had started off, I was sending them out left, right, center because at that moment I just wanted to be published. Now I'm more discerning. I will see. I don't pay for anthologies, which I think is a biggest scam. But they're just preying on poor authors. So
I
I don't
agree.
pay for anthologies. I don't send my stories to anthology who ask me to buy back and don't give me my free copies. That again, I think is another scam on poor authors. But there are certain places where you know that the pedigree is good
Yeah,
and you want to be associated with that particular company, or you want to be associated with that particular name or publishing company or whatever, then of course I still send, because I don't think I'm that big an author to say no to anthologies also, because anthologies I think are another very good way of people to discover you as a writer.
true.
So if somebody likes my story in an anthology, they might just go and Google me up and then see what else I have written and then might read that. So I think they're a very good way of discovering new authors also.
Very
Uh,
true.
so and especially last year's anthologies, both the anthologies last year, because last year I did not publish any book, so I
Mhm.
had only anthologies. So both the anthologies. Lightning Strikes as well as Block Chatter Book of Love. I think I really, really enjoyed writing for both the anthologies because they were both very diverse. One was flash fiction and the other was a short story. And I think that really satisfied the creativity in me when I wrote those stories, especially the Block Chatter Book of Love, because I had not written something like that, or at least I had not written something like that for the public viewing, and so that kind of thing. So I think I pushed myself out of the zone for that one, so I think that was also good because it pushed me out of the zone, and people appreciated it, and I was lucky enough to get selected both the times.
Hmm.
So that was also there, because
True.
so I'm not keeping out much hope for this year, but still, let's see.
No, no, I agree with what you say that, after a point, we actually start being a little picky, and that's what writers should ideally do. Like, even in my case, I got published in 10 anthologies. And then after that, I was like, no, okay, now I need to be very, very picky. I want to be choosy. I want to see who's the publisher and what is the end product going to look like? What are they going to do
Exactly.
about it? I don't want to just be a mass writer who's just an anthology contributor. I don't want to be known something like that. So yes, I agree with what you're saying that as writers, after a point we do get choosy. Once we've, our
Right.
publishing goals are met with, then we understand how it works better.
Right.
So Harshita, now time for some rapid fire questions. Pen or keyboard?
Pen.
Morning or night writing sessions?
Morning.
Plotter or pantster?
Panster, 100%, 110%.
Writing soundtrack, music or silence?
Silence.
Favorite writing snack?
Green tea. I don't eat anything. Otherwise, I'll keep eating. So I don't eat anything during writing.
Favorite literary character?
Of course, Elizabeth Bennet. Elizabeth Bennet. Yeah.
One word that describes your writing style.
Emotional.
Wow. Your biggest writing pet peeve?
When people see, I know typos can come in, okay,
Mhm.
but basic grammar and typo, because even I'm not very good at grammar, but you do a basic spell check, you do a basic grammar, and quite a few get removed. So I think it is that. And so I think that is one of my pet peeves.
Okay. One book you wish you had written?
One book I had wished. Oh, of course, Harry Potter.
Wow. So, your favorite book as a child?
Okay, I did not have a favorite book as a child. I just used to love books, but I would
Mhm.
read anything by Enid Blyton. I was a big fan. I think I read almost everything.
Okay. What's next on your reading list?
I actually have to figure out a book with a pink cover for one of the reading challenges I'm doing, reading with Muffy. So I think I'll pick an Ali Hazelwood because I've not read anything by her till now, and I'm a romance reader, and I've not read anything by her. So I think
Wow.
I will read her this time.
That's a nice way of discovering authors, I would say. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
this, that this is actually a meme, but I actually feel very passionate about it that a reader just goes into a bookshop and he's like, it's just a red cover, okay? And it has this kind of a picture. Now help me find that book. I have done
I
that.
I know. It is quite possible.
And our last question, okay? What's your writing superpower?
My writing superpower. I actually don't know if I have a writing superpower. Oh, this is a tough one. Maybe because I made my mother read my books.
Wow,
That's a
that's
superpower.
definitely a huge superpower.
Yes. So the other day I was telling my mom, you like the new book? And she's like, I've read all your books, not only this one. I've read all your books. So I was very surprised because I thought she read Xanadu and then she didn't read Bits and Pieces or Potpourri of Drabble. She comes back and she's very annoyed. I've read all your books. I'm like, okay. So that's a superpower, I think.
That's definitely a huge superpower. Full marks for you on this one.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
Harshita, that brings us to the end of this discussion. It was wonderful talking to you. Would you like to share some closing thoughts for the readers, for the listeners?
Thank you, Namrata. It was amazing to be here. I had such a good time, and please do read Love Awaits. If you like reading slow burn romances, if you like reading closed door romances, clean, wholesome romance, it will make you feel good. That I can promise. It will make you feel good. It is not a very long tale, so it is just 40,000 words. You'll be able to read it. Go ahead, read it. Do rate and review it. Don't forget to do that, please. Reviews are very important to us.
Absolutely, very important.
Very important to us. Even if you're not reviewing, press on the stars, please. 5 stars preferably. If you don't like it, 3, 2 bhi chalega, but stars daba dijiye, please. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Notion Press. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. So you don't have to spend money if you already spend that 169 rupees per month wala deal. So it is there on all the 3 platforms. And do if you're reading and if you're liking it, do share your pictures. I love seeing my book with my readers. I really enjoy it. So please do that also. And thank you so much. And thank you to all my readers and all my beta readers also. Really, gratitude to all of you.
It was
Thank
wonderful
you.
talking to you and knowing about behind the book journey for this book. I would definitely pick up a copy and I'll let
Uh,
you know my thoughts soon.
oh, I'll be eagerly waiting. And privately, you can just tell me, ye galat hua, ye theek hua. Because I think that is so important to,
Yeah,
let the writer know what is working, what is not working. So
true, true, very
So
true.
I will not be upset if you give me a proper feedback. I will not be upset. and you don't need to spare my emotions. It is perfectly fine.
Thanks for
So,
letting me know that. Though I'm very careful about my feedback because I've been a beta reader, so I am honest, but at the same time I'm very careful because I know the effort that goes behind it. It
right.
takes a lot of effort rather than just
Yeah.
trashing something. And I've always said this. My grandfather was a reader. I got this habit from him. So he used to always say that there is nothing known as a bad book. So every book
Exactly.
teaches you something. There is either it is teaching you a do what you can do, or it is teaching you what you should not be doing. So there is always a
Exactly.
takeaway. So there's no bad book in that sense.
Exactly, and that is true. That is true. Plus, it is also upon the person because there might be some people who don't like reading, which is why I said it's a slow burn, closed door romance. So if you are not a fan of closed door romance, and you pick it up thinking it's a romance, then it may not work with you, but it might work because it's good emotional story. But still, uh, so it depends on the taste of the reader also.
True,
So
very
because
true.
I don't read self-help books, so I can't judge self-help. It's kind of like that. So but I do hope more and more people pick it up. I think they will enjoy it about it because I enjoyed writing it. So,
Definitely. I'll look
mhm.
forward to picking it up.
Thank you,
Thank
Namrata.
you. Thank you so much, Arshita, for joining us. Wishing you all the best for this book and all that
Thank
they're going to come forward.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.